Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. All right, we're starting off with a picture that was sent to me by one of my subscribers, Michelle. I think she's just trying to make me jealous. She said this was in Strasbourg. She was crossing the bridge to pick up some croissants, and she saw this picture and she took it. Yes, I'm jealous. Moving on. Next up, I want to wish a happy, healthy 19th birthday to Lady Louise. She's grown up to be a gorgeous young lady, a carriage rider or driver like her great-grandfather. And I love her. She's lovely. She did well on her tests and she's going off to university. Good for her. All right, moving on. All right, next up, Prince William had an investiture ceremony today at Windsor Castle. He made Sir Trevor Phillips a Knight Bachelor. Love it. Next up, Queen Consort Camilla got her new monogram, and it looks like it's more ornate than the King's cipher. It's going to be used on state documents and post boxes, and apparently a former Benedictine monk helped design it. How wonderful. Now, we all know what happens as soon as the royal family releases anything like that. Harry and Meghan suddenly, out of the blue, decided to release pictures of themselves from their trip to Germany. Who cares? And then you see stories like this. Ooh, the two of them went out for an impromptu date night. Yes, because they're trying to show you how happy they are. We're going to come back to that in just a little bit. All right, here we go. King Charles visited the Morrisons supermarket in Bradford today. Now, he's on a 2-day tour, but of course the crowds were so happy to see him. Here's a little video for you. Watch this. I'm sure you guys also noticed Johnny there taking that jacket, turning around and putting it in the car. God knows I did. Anyway, Charles then went into the city hall to meet young leaders doing fantastic work in the community. And then, of course, he came back out, going on to his next area, and the crowds were it was insane. All right, the next thing Charles did was learn about new carbon-neutral eggs and farming, sustainability, and retail initiative at the Morrisons head office in Bradford, West Yorkshire. Now, again, this is a 2-day trip that Charles and his Queen Consort Camilla are on. Now, while he was there, he told all the workers, of course, Happy Christmas, and he hopes that they're let off for the holidays. I'm not sure about the UK. I would assume they have set holidays, but I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. Anyway, as you can see, there were a ton of crowds there. He got a plaque, of course. Here's a little snippet of him walking in. Watch this. Next up, Charles went to a Rebellion to Romance exhibit. Interesting, very interesting. He spoke with several people there, and this was from the Jamaica Society, Leeds. Very nice. Rebellion to Romance. Yeah, aptly named in my opinion. All right, then he moved on to a art exhibit that took place in Leeds. Now, I got to tell you, some of this artwork really looks amazing. I can't even imagine how some of this stuff is done. Let me just tell you guys, from the pictures that I'm seeing and from the artwork that I'm looking at, these are some talented people. They've created stuff that I could never have created. That's all I can say. All right, let's move on. So the crowds waited patiently. The king went around and spoke with everybody, shook hands. He did what kings do. And it all seems to be fine. I think he started his reign off really well. That's just my opinion. All right, let's move on. For those of you who are unaware, PBS, which is the public broadcasting service here in the United States, has now teamed up with the Earthshot Prize. I love it. Congratulations. All right, next up, a subscriber of mine named Kim sent me this comment that was on Sue Me's video in the comment section because she said it was just so funny. And, you know, Harry has like a 5 deal for books, and she's got the names of them. I love it. The Spare, Despair, Thin Air, No Hair, and She Left Me Bare. Perfect. All right, moving on, we're back to Tessa Dunlap and that book she just wrote. Apparently in the book, she is suggesting that Philip was not faithful to the Queen. And I agree with what Countess Commonwealth said. It's completely offensive to the late Queen's family, who are still very bereaved about her death. And if Tom Bower had questioned whether Harry was faithful to Meghan, she'd be screaming from the rooftops. I completely agree. All right, here we go. Meghan Markle dropped another Spotify archetypes, and she says that the B word is a word that is used to gaslight strong women. Yes, she's even quoted to be or not to be. I'm not kidding. And she brought on 2 people. One of them is the chairwoman of Starbucks, who would explain why Meghan gave out Starbucks gift cards. They were probably provided by Melody Hobson, and Victoria Jackson, who's a makeup mogul. She talks of her dislike for words pushy, difficult, and she says, I'll never say the B word. Yeah, that's right. So she says that strong-minded women are branded difficult because it's a code word for the B one, and that people you should show respect. Well, here's the problem. She doesn't show respect to other people. She says, and when you use the word difficult, she goes, my friend said to me, there's a certain point when you come to terms with the fact that not everyone is going to like you. The goal can't be for everyone to like you, but they should at least respect you. She said her friends are reclaiming and re-embracing the B word, but she won't say it on her podcast. Now, as she usually does, she doesn't let her guests talk, because at one point she asked Miss Hobson, how is your summer? And then they edited the podcast so you don't get to hear her response. And then she says, oh, I'm so envious. I wish I had been living La Dolce Vita with you. Same old stuff. And by the way, she also basically suggested that the names Difficult Duchess and all of those are because of gendered sexism, not because she's an objectionably disliked person. She just cannot accept that people don't like her. Even this Twitter user, Ada, agrees with me. She's making excuses for her bullying and her superior attitude towards those she believes are merely there to do her bidding. I completely agree. Well, I have to say I completely agree with Unlikely Bot and what he said. She can try to reframe this any way she likes. She can try to portray herself as a victim, and she can say the labels hold them back. But until she sues Valentine Lowe for outing her as the real B word, which is bully, everything that she's saying is simply noise. And let's not forget Valentine Lowe, I believe it was Valentine Lowe, said that he was getting all kinds of letters and threats saying, don't you dare publish that article, and don't you dare. And since they published it, nothing. Crickets. All right. Now, moving on, we know that in this book, we've already heard that Harry is going to absolutely eviscerate Camilla and act like she's the wicked stepmother. So I found this. When Camilla and Charles married, Harry and William decorated the newlyweds car with the C, and the heart symbols and the smiley faces, and they were milling around and they were looking very happy, and they're throwing confetti. So here's some video clips to show you what actually went on at that wedding. Watch this. All right, next up, I told you already that they're trying to portray Harry as lusty, okay? It's not going to work. Because between the deer in the headlights look, The fact that there doesn't appear to be anything in the pants, at least not from this angle, and the fact that there's no hair on his head, he ain't that lusty. Sorry. All right, time to go back. Do you think Harry was ever happy in this marriage? You have to wonder as time went on. I think he realizes he's stuck, but he can't get out. So let's look at this first. Now, she had not yet announced her pregnancy, if I understand correctly, but this is when they went to do the cookbook. She brought her mother. She did not hold Harry's hand. She walked away from Harry and left him to trail behind. And then Harry, she's introducing him, went over to say hello to the woman. And what does Meghan do? She grabs his arm and literally pulls him back from her, like, don't touch. Here it is again. A little bit closer up so that you can see she literally is pulling Harry back by the arm. Yep. Okay. Then they go in and Meghan is talking and she gets done and she turns around and instead of walking to Harry, she walks right past him and leaves him standing there looking like an idiot, right? Watch this. All right, we've all seen this clip before. This is when Meghan is talking and her mother interrupted her and she shot her mother a nasty look, but then she recovered. And what you see in this clip is Harry is just standing there and the man is talking straight to Doria, but yet Meghan's answering him and nodding her head and making it look like she's still part of the conversation, even though she's not. But Harry's just standing there. Watch this. Thing I've ever seen. Okay, now it's time to go. Well, Meghan's talking, and here comes Harry. Nobody's talking to him. He's just kind of there. Yeah, whatever, I'll just stand around. Then he sees the camera. And watch this. Boop. I mean, here's another example. She's talking, and Harry's standing there. Nobody's talking to him. He's just standing there. She continues to talk, and he's still standing there. Now, you're going to think, is this the same get-together? Yes, it is, because Harry finally has had enough and is like, we need to go. We need to follow protocol. William's standing there waiting as also, and he walks over to get her. Yes. And out the door they go. Now that leads me to this. We all saw what happened at the UN. Harry gave a speech to basically an empty room. He looked miserable. He looked upset. He had his tongue, in his cheek. We've all seen this video. But I'm going to show it to you again, and I'm going to show you why in just a second. Harry's in trouble, and I think he knows it. So here we go. We all saw what happened. He was holding her hand. He let go. She leans over, forcibly pulls his arm over, puts the claw on it so she can't let go. And Harry's fiddling with his outfit, and then he's got that jaw thing where he puts his tongue in his cheek. Okay? All right, now watch this. This picture was taken 1.5 years before then. Okay, again, I told you guys, they're always trying to make it look like they're lovey-dovey, so much in love, but you can't sustain that forever. Okay, like the date night, they only had eyes for each other, but of course there's not one photo to prove it. Well, we saw this picture, and thank you to the body language guy for pointing this out to me. Here's what actually happened on that day that he was taping. Meghan literally did photobomb and took over, as she always does, and Harry was very upset. So here's what they wanted you to see. And here's what actually happened. Meghan stepped in, photobombed, started talking, tried to take over the whole thing. Remember, this is supposed to be the me you can't see. Harry shook his head, took a deep breath, and was very obviously annoyed. Watch this. My point, ladies and gentlemen, is I think Harry realized very early on that he'd made a mistake. And let's not forget, when this was done, she was already pregnant, supposedly, with their daughter. So what does that tell you? I think he knew early on that he'd made a mistake, but they had that big wedding. What was he supposed to do? Turn around now and say, I made a mistake? He couldn't do that. He couldn't face his family. He couldn't admit that this was a mistake. And I think he was embarrassed and humiliated. So he's just decided that he's going to stick it out with her. I honestly think that's what's happening here. Quick heads up for those of you who are on my Patreon, we're going to do a live either Saturday afternoon, evening time, or Sunday in the afternoon, because I have plans Sunday evening. You guys write down what you think works best for you and we'll figure out what we're going to do, okay? All right, everybody else, leave your comments below. There's lots going on here. I really want to read what you think. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you've already hit it, double check, make sure you're still subscribed. Don't forget that in the description box, there are links to my Getter, my Twitter, my Rumble, my email address in case you want to write to me, and the link to my Patreon account in case you want to join up there, okay? For those of you who have donated money through the thanks button and through my coffee fund, thank you so much, you guys. And as always, have a great day.